beasts, aren't they? Chuffed to bits. The smallest little thornback rat. No, I'm just concentrating on not leaving the rod over the side. And his eyes. He's got amazing eyes. Doggy in the boat. Golden mullet. There's a bit of weight to that, you know. And that's what we want, don't we? We don't want the same all the time. We want something different, a good old show. Hello and welcome to the channel. What feels like ages since I've been on the beach. And where am I tonight? Tonight we're on, or at, Milford on Sea. Milford on Sea, normal rig, normal setup. I've got the 6 and baits, the Pen Feather casting specials. I'm going to try a pulley rig loaded with whole squid in the hope of a ray, and the 3-hook flapper with the short clip-on snoods with worm baits, scratch and rig, shot to nothing. Because it's sunsetty time and putting a worm bait out, there is a faint chance of a place. Would like a place if there's one available. But the normal suspects, doggies, bass, plaice, rays, and possibly small annoying straps. That could be the flavour of the night. The sea has got a lot to say for itself tonight. I don't know what's different, but it is just noisy. So there's quite a swell. It's only a small tide. This is from Neap, lowest of the tides, building. So from my experience fishing this area, the first early tides after the lowest tide, and when they're on the build rather than on the drop, it seems to fish better. We'll see tonight, but it is the doldrums. It's that time of year. I've not heard any catch reports from here, to be fair, which if you're not hearing it, it's probably not happening. But I'm keen to have a go. So, let's jibber jabber in. Hook body, snoods. Right, I don't need to play with the hook body, the rig body yet. I've got 3 snoods here. We've shown how to make these on the channel. Just see if I can get them all out without getting them even worse of a tangle. And there we have it. These are, try and get the name right, Cox and Royal matching scratch hooks. I think that's right. If it's wrong, I'll put it in words underneath in the titles. They're quite an aggressive hook and quite a good hookup rate, I think. So, ragworm routine, what are we going to do? So, I've got loads of ragworm. I ordered too much and it's been in the fridge for a few days. So, normally that would spell disaster. But, look at those snakes. They're good quality ragworm, good stuff. So, I am going to use a needle. For no other reason, I find it doesn't tear the ragworm up as much. Well, I find that. I'm sure there's plenty of people got different opinions, but a snake of a ragworm, look for the pointy end of the needle, which isn't that pointy, and we go, hold it vertical and let gravity sort of help you, I think. Feed it onto the worm, give the needle a bit of a twizzle, keep it going. You want all of that on that needle as much as you can, because what isn't on the needle you're going to lose, either in the cast or it's going to get plucked off pretty quick, and only some of us like to be plucked off. Into the hole in the end of the needle, my hand's shaking. I like to put sort of like a bow in the needle. I don't know if you can see that. Look, put a good old bend in it, make sure it's nice and tight. Make sure the first part of the worm gets over the knot, and then the whole thing slides onto the hook, and then you end up with that. Let's have a look, just so you can see. You end up with that. Look at that for a bait. What a cracker. We just lay that down there, get our next worm. I'm a little bit worried actually at the size of these worms. They're all monsters. Yeah, there's not many small worms in it. I can see a couple, but they are good quality worm. Dug locally rather than moved from one place to another. I don't know if there's anything in that, but Seriously, I found Poole Harbour rag. Fish is better in Poole Harbour. This is Solent ragworm. I'm fishing the Solent. I'm going to try something with this one. Some people hook head first, some tail first. So this bad boy, he's going on tail first. He's going on Aussie style. He's going on backwards. I don't know if it makes any difference. But that one, he's on Aussie style. He's on backwards. Get my cloth. I'm keen to get a bait out. I want to get one out. There's a fisherman behind me. There's a fisherman sitting up in front of me. I'm not the only one with this crazy mad idea tonight. It's a Friday. It's international party night. I can't help making faces. You're probably looking at the camera laughing, thinking, Mark, why are you making faces? Can't help it. I feel for the little critter, you know. But yeah, international party night. Let's just hope there's a party on the beach tonight. See if we can get a few fish in, eh? And number three. Right, so that is us. We'll get the rig body sorted. Don't want any rubbish flying away. Get my rig body out. I don't know why I'm looking at my rod tips. I ain't got a bait out yet. I just looked up and thought, oh, is that a bite? My rod's bouncing around. Yeah, so here we go. One snood, clipped onto its swivel. It's fighting me. Come on. God, how could two hook snoods get so tangled so easy? Right. That's one. It's easier when it's hung up on the rod, but then it's not easier to film. That's two. Because the line's been on those reels for, I think, a couple of weeks now, since my last session, I gave them both a chuck with just a weight on, just to get the line off the reel, out there, wetted, and back on. But there we go. There are 3 worm baits. I'm going to clip that onto the rod. 6 ounce grip weight, Gemini Solo grip weight. And we'll be fishing. Alright, so here we go. Let's get a bait out. Quite windy, so if the wind's on the mic, I apologise, but this is what we're dealing with tonight. This is the session. Check that's all good. That looks a stunning bait. Right, my routine now for casting is to release what is the spool catch to make sure it's free to make sure the top of the line's free, make sure the spool is free, and then set my mags. I set them every time. I don't want big distance with this one. I don't mind this one just flopping out a little bit. I lost a little bit of the ragworm there. I saw that go. And I've not gone for massive distance. I've gone quite close in with that one. Set my drag and my clicker, just in case I miss something. I'm just going to see how that settles. If anything, it looks a bit bassy. That weight, even though it's a grip weight, is bouncing around a bit. Right, squid bait. So always worth looking after your bait. So I'm just going to loosely wrap that ragworm up again, put that back where I got it from, and I'm into a pulley rig now. And now I do have to keep an eye on my rod because it's out there doing the business. As my buddy Chris would say, getting that business done. That sea is busy tonight. It's got a lot going on. A bass would be very welcome. He says, hoping. Right, this is the bit that always gets me. It came out of the packet untangled and I've just managed to tangle it. Right, all I've got is a very, very simple pulley rig using a Gemini pulley bead, and instead of beads as the stop, I've got a little bit of rig tubing. Let's have a look, so I don't think you can see that. Just got a little bit of rig tubing at the end. And then the pulley bead goes up against that rig tubing and it just acts just like a bit of a spring, like a bit of a shock absorber. And at the end of it, the hook set up, I'm going with a circle hook for the top hook. Just see if I can turn that round without sticking it in my finger, and a J hook for the bottom. That's my preference for today. And for bait, I'm using royal squid. And it's semi-defrosted, a whole royal squid. That's a big bait. But I've got big hopes. See if we can get it to go. Right, so let us stop your jibber jabbering, Mark, get on with it. So to set my bait, what I'm going to do is fold the head back like that and take some wraps with the elastic and dress the head back down the body. Elastic the bait up, fold in his flippy flappers, his winglets, I don't know, whatever they're called, wings I suppose, aren't they? So there's nothing's going to start making this tumble or spin in the water because it's quite busy out there. And back up again, back up to the head. Notice that the eyes are still visible, but it's a tidy, streamlined bait. Right. Pass that through. This is very fine elastic. So that is it. It's like a torpedo. Look at that bad boy. I'm going to have to move that camera in a minute, aren't I? It's not in the right place. I'll move that camera in a minute. Okay, right. So we get our business end of the hooks. Try not to get ourselves all tangled up. And first things first, set the J hook into the business end of that squid. So I'm just going to put that in and back out so it's completely proud out the back of that body, and sit the back of the hook across the back of the bait. And then all I want to do is elasticate the eye to stop it from turning. I don't want that hook to turn. Oh, that's either a bite or the tide's caught my rod. I might have to go. What's going on? That might be dragging by the tide. Let's have a look. I've just set that hook across the back of that, but something's going on with my rod. It's all go round here. So something was just happening then. I heard a couple of clicks in the background. Yeah, I think I'm alright. Something might have hit it. Be a typical bass kind of hit and run bite and that kind of surf. Promising. So back to where I was. So I've just set that hook really proud. See if it can see it. See if it, have a look. See that? Really proud. And then the pennel hook. That's right, so I'm just keeping an eye on that rod. There's definitely something going on, I think. 3 turns, 2, 3. And then pinch it into the top. And then sort of set it with the line. Try not to hook myself. Just so that everything's nice and tight and everything keeps its shape. I think that that other line's swung round now. That might be might have pulled round in the tide up onto the shallow. Right, I'm going to get this one out. Check that one. I'll get back to you in a bit. So that first knock that I saw whilst filming, it did look more like a knock, and I just caught it out of the corner of my eye. There's the culprit, the doggy. I think that line's been out there less than 10 minutes max. And I'm into the doggies. Yeah, so we don't want too many of those tonight, young man. He's in good condition though. Nice wiry doggy. Flippy floppy tail. Right, I'm going to get him back in. So I can already see I'm going to struggle a little bit tonight with the camera. What's wrong with the camera? Nothing's wrong with the camera. It's a new camera. And it's not GoPro. I think it's the worst description of a camera you could ever give. If you want a GoPro, don't use a GoPro. Yeah. So I've saved the blank in the first 10 minutes, but I'm not sure if a doggy actually counts. We don't want too many of those. It's all good stuff. What is worrying are those clouds. And there's some pretty decent clouds over that way. I'll give you a spin round, show you what it's like. Off into the distance there is Hordle, and then further round in the cove that you can see, heading towards Bournemouth. So there's Hordle, Barton, Southbourne. There's some cracking fishing venues, and this is just the tip of the spear at Milford. But this is the closest point to the needles. The rod's set. They're not both straight out. I've got one pitch to the left, one pitch to the right. You may wonder why that is. It's because of the way that the rigs actually fish. So the pulley rig is cast slightly up tide, and that separates the weight from the bait in like a triangle shape. And the 3 hook flapper, I've got that fairly close in, so I've got that down tide. Not completely uptide, down tide, but just variations of, instead of just straight out. Rigs don't always just have to go straight out. Of the 2 rods, it's the left one we're really interested in. If the left rod goes, that's got 6 inches of whole squid on it. So I'm hoping if it goes, it's going to be interesting. The right rod really is a shot to nothing. That's my scratching rig. Just trying to winkle anything on that. So with those baits soaking and the rigs doing their stuff, I think if anything's worth mentioning, this is a good one. So what do you actually do whilst they're doing their magic? I prep my next bait. Get the next bait ready. So I've now got 3 clip-on snoods, my ragworm and needle that we started the session off with, and I'm just going to lay out my bait and my snoods, my needle. Whilst I'm sitting here watching that, sharing it with you, I'm just going to bait up the next 3 hooks. Bait up the next 3 hooks so that when that next one comes in, I can just do a quick changeover. I can just change over the snoods. Leave the rig body hanging from the rod on the tripod with the weight still attached. So because it's a little bit windy and all a little bit frisky, I find if you leave the weight on, it just makes life easier. You get less tangles and stuff. And by baiting these up and having them in my wrap, for want of a better description, there we go. There's one hook snood. Get the next worm. I bet you're getting a good view of my bulb patch. It's my sunroof. Getting old boy. Right, so this worm's going crackers. He's not too keen. Yeah, shall we get this one on the needle? I'm desperate for that left rod to go. I'm willing it along. I'm willing it more than I am my lottery ticket for tonight. It's Euro lottery tonight, and if I win it, it's a new boat. Anyone that follows the channel, been a little bit quiet for the last couple of weeks, doing all my boat tickets so that I can get myself qualified to be a charter skipper. That's where I'd like to end up. So I'm a fair chunk through. I've done quite a few courses recently. And what have I got next? What's the interesting one? Oh yeah, I've got sea survival coming up next. So I'm going to be going to the Maritime College and jumping in a swimming pool in and out of life rafts and off diving boards and things, life jackets and all that kind of stuff. I've done it loads of times before for work, but this time I'm doing it because I need it as a tick in the box for where I'm getting to. So if I'm completely honest, navigation aspects have been difficult. It's not something I've not usually done, charts and dividers and all that kind of stuff. So that was quite alien to me. But the boat aspects I'm finding really interesting. It's a good refresher actually, doing the training. Years of boating experience, but the training shows you things that you either didn't know or that you knew and you didn't really consider, you know. And there's snood number 3. So I now have 3 baited snoods ready for the next changeover. Going to be onto head torches soon. Light's starting to fail. And what have we got? So my head torch is a Fenix HM65R. That's what I use. And you can see when you press the top, just to check the battery power, and it lights up 4 bars, fully charged, good to go. And I might have to readjust it because I want it on top of my beanie later when it gets cold. Yeah, that's my torch of choice for the time being. My last one was a Fenix as well, but that was a Fenix with the battery pack on the back, and I always found it a bit restrictive. Just keep an eye on my rod. But I found it a bit restrictive with the line going over the back, especially when you had like a hood up and stuff like that. That one lasts just as long, and it's all concealed in that one battery that's on your head. Happy days. We want something bigger and more interesting, don't we? That's what we'd like. That's what we'd like to see. The beauty of a scratching rig is you can scratch. The size of that. Tiny. Teeny tiny little fish. Right, I'm going to get him straight back. You could use that as a live bait. That, in fact, he might go in the bucket. What should I do? Give him a chance, eh? I'll put him back. It's quite a big swell though, so get close to the water to get him back. It's going to be hard work. It might be his lucky day. You were nearly live bait. None the wiser for how close he came. He was very nearly a conger bait. Right, that's on the scratching rig with the ragworm. So we've got one big rig out, hoping for a ray. One scratching rig out, scratching. I thought it was worth showing the hook up on these Cox and Royal scratching match hooks. Right in the lip, look. You don't want to play ball, you don't want to show for the camera, but see that right in the lip rather than taking it down deep? I think it's just the shape of the hook that does it, but it's welcome because there's nothing worse than deep hook fish. None of us like to deal with it, and if we can avoid it, and it makes for easy unhooking. Rain's coming in, we're going to have to get the camera away, and yeah, doggy number 2. 2 doggies in a pout. Pouting. A ting with a P. Yeah, doggy number 2. We don't need the doggies. I've had to move the camera inside the shelter. I've got myself another little ting. And look at that, lovely little lip hook. Hook just falls out. Oh, tiny ting. So I'm tempted, you know. If that's what's out there, and I know there's some big eels that are quartering ground out there at the moment, I think I'm going to put this one out of his misery, and he might make an appearance as a bait sometime soon. Right, I'm going to dispatch this one and put this one out as a bait. I'm not going to put him as a live bait, he says, thinking, no, because I haven't got the rigs for it. I'm not going to put him out as a live bait. Yeah, he is bait, this one. If there's a few out there, I'm going to put him in a bucket for now, and I'll dispatch him in a minute. Let's get my cloth. Yeah, so just spoke to the other angler that's down that way, Darren. Nice gentleman, fishing, beavering away. He's after a ray. So we've got the same idea. So we're chasing rays, catching tings, he says, wiping his seat, it's all soaking wet, because it just absolutely hammered it down with rain. But, yeah, I've got my reed chill cheater. That's what it's called, I think. Just make sure I get it right. Reed chill cheater, made in England. So I was very fortunate to go to where they make these. Paid my own money, so this is an honest opinion. Went and had a factory tour. Went down there, factory tour, sized up, jacket was a perfect fit, short and fat, it fitted, but the trousers didn't. So they made my trousers. They literally, the ladies made me a set of trousers. I tried them on there, so it was like roughly put together, tried them on, make adjustments, and then done all the stitching and then sent them on to me. I went down there for a factory visit. It's cracking gear. I love it. It's sort of like stretchy. It will stretch. Look, stretch. I think this is the clothing I've been looking for, because I've tried different stuff. Bit early to say yet. Just looking at it. Reflective panels and all the good stuff. Look, big hood, wide peak. They even, and I can't show you now because I'm inside the shelter, put me a comfort zip in, so if I need to have a little tinkle I don't have to take everything off. A comfort zip, and I had this bespoke, so I opted to have some pockets removed. I had like wetsuit, like gussety cuff things there. They sewed those in for me, or bonded those in, I think they are. Wetsuit material, neoprene stuff. They put the pockets where I wanted them, and they took some pockets away because I didn't want them. So, give them a look up. British company, website is on the internet, net, and it is Reed, R-E-E-D, Reed Chill Cheater. I'll put some links in the description, you can check it out for yourself. Right, I need to sort out some bait. It's raining, as you can possibly hear. The sea's nasty tonight, really loud. Yeah, it's good stuff. So, 2 doggies, 2 pouting. Not exactly setting the world on fire, are we? But we is a fishing. Right, get back to it. I've swapped over the 3-hook flapper for, basically I've got an up and over on the left hand rod and a pulley on the right hand rod. The up and over I'm expecting to fish better, but the I looked through my wallet, rig wallet, and I didn't bring them all. It's typical, isn't it? I knew what I wanted. I thought I had them, and they weren't in there. So the scratching rig's been swapped out for an up and over with a 3.0 J hook and a circle hook as the pennel, and the pulley rig as shown earlier. It's gone very quiet. The tide's well and truly on the drop. If I was to predict anything, it would be the turn of low. Already discussing that with Darren, who's further along to my right. But yeah, we both agree. I think if we're going to catch anything, it'll be towards the bottom of the tide now, and as it turns from the ebb to the flood. That's where I'm at. That's what we're doing. Both of those rods now have got a whole squid on each. Still 6-ounce grip, and just a slight variation in distance out, really. Just try and cover the bases. The left one's out further than the right one. The right one's probably about 2/3 the distance. Let's hope we pull something out. It's getting a little bit too quiet for my liking. Oh, and I'm a soft touch. I let that pouting go. I was considering using him as a live bait, but I let him go. He's gone. He's gone off for Friday night with his mates down the pub. What have we got? It's a doggy. Wow, you made a meal out of that, mate. Made an absolute meal out of that. Because you come backwards. You came in backwards. Oh, word. Let's have a look. What have you done to yourself? Yeah, that's why. Let's get you sorted out. So we're getting towards low water now, and just yet another doggy. Nothing to write home about. Put him in the bucket. In you go. Just doggies, bud.
Instead of doggy on the boat, it's doggy on the beach, isn't
it? That's it, mate, yeah. That one's a bit of an escape artist. He keeps getting out of the bucket. I don't know how he manages it. Yeah, it's a bit quiet, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm expecting to get something a bit more decent, really.
Well, I thought the eels would show up, to be honest. Now we're getting towards, heading towards low. It's gotten super cold and very windy. So where are we at? Well, I've got another doggy in the bucket. I think there's 5 or... I've lost count now. I think there's 5, maybe 6. A couple of pouting, but no rays. So rays is where I was really after, or is what I was really after. Let's just turn that round because that's windy this way. There we go. Get out of the wind. Get out of the wind, Mark. Yeah. So Darren hasn't had any rays. I've not had any rays yet. But it is low water, so we're within 5 or 10 minutes of low water. So I've fished the tide up, slack high, changed my rigs, fished it down. I'm on squid baits, big rigs, all geared up for a ray. I've done away with the scratching rig now. I don't want to be wasting time rebaiting for a scratching rig when actually I'm really truly after a ray. So I know I've caught something. It's better than calling the blank, but if I was to call it, I think the next half hour, 40 minutes, and if by 1 o'clock, and it's almost 12:30, if by 1 o'clock I haven't caught a ray, then I'll be actually packing it in for tonight, maybe giving it another go tomorrow night, or technically tonight. Yeah, so I'm going to give it a good 40 minutes. I've fresh baited and chucked out, and we'll see how it plays out. Everything's fishing well, everything's doing as it should. The new camera's got me flummoxed a little bit, but yeah, all good. Lights working. Always difficult to film at night in the wind with the rain. It's sort of like your perfect storm of what's not good. Oh, let's have a look. Just heard a click then. Might be just as the tide now has reached low and is swinging around. Quite a sea mist as well at the moment. That's the beauty of a clicker. So if you're distracted doing something else, I mean, I'm filming, but you could be baiting up or you could be doing something else. At least in the background, oh, click, heard something. And if your drag set just on that cusp, you know, little pull down, click, just gets your attention. The problem is, as we all know, a doggy will give an initial oh, and then nothing. It'll just sit there. So you're not fishing because you've got a doggy on the end. And that wind's picking up in it. Try and shield the microphone. But yeah, all good. It's good to get out, good to get on the beach. If anything changes, if I do catch something, I'll get straight back to you. But just in case it doesn't, and to make it easier on me, I'll say my goodbyes. So from me, from here, for now, it's goodbye. Take care, tight lines, happy fishing. Until the next time, which might be tonight, I'll see you soon. Bye for now.